Good morning, Sunday morning at Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. Who are you? What's your name?
I'm Vital.
Vital. I've never heard that name before.
Yeah, it's it's like vitality.
Oh, it's from the English word, Vital?
It's
Vital?
Latin, but yeah.
I know last names Vital, but I've never met a person with their first name.
There you go.
Where are you from?
Originally from the States.
Okay, and you've been in Israel for a long time.
For a long time, most of my life, kind of on and off, but educated and raised here predominantly.
But your English is American.
I do try, yeah.
Tell me a little, before we get to the company, a little background on you, professional background. What's your story?
So I started out in consumer goods. I worked for L'Oreal for a couple of years.
In Israel?
In Israel, as a product manager.
I didn't even know they were in Israel.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
everybody's in Israel, okay.
Yeah, and that was an amazing time. It was the best marketing school you could possibly have. But then I transitioned into financial services, which is where I stayed for better or worse for the rest of my career.
Marketing's more exciting, I'm just saying.
Most would think so, but I beg to differ.
Really?
But hey,
So you're a numbers
that's
person?
Not strictly numbers, but I think the place where money finds consumption is kind of really cool, and we'll actually talk about that in a
I hear
minute.
that, okay, yeah.
So finance for the rest of my career. I did some wealth management, private banking out of Switzerland, and then after I did an MBA, I came back to Israel, started working for Bank Hapoalim for a few years. My last position, I was the head of marketing for the retail division.
Get out of here. Did you work with Shachar Markovich by any chance?
No, he came after me.
Love that guy. You know him?
I know of him. We haven't worked
Super
together.
awesome dude. He was, he led data and something for Hillel.
Right.
Left recently. He was at McKinsey. Good guy. Anyway, yeah, go on. I'm sorry. My ADD is all over the place this morning.
And
Yeah.
then my last position before starting this company, I was the head of marketing for Card, which is the largest credit card company in Israel.
Wow. I also met someone who worked at Instacart. I can't remember her name though. Anyway, so you really like finance
Yeah.
through and through.
Payments, credit, lending.
Cool. Okay, so where do you work now? What do you do?
Well, our company, Sorbet, basically unlocks time. More specifically, we help you unlock paid time off.
So I have to just say something right off the bat. I could tell that you once worked in marketing. No, seriously, like I always tell people all the time, like a subject of an email or an elevator pitch it has one goal and one goal only. To get the person to say, tell me more. You said we unlock time. What am I going to say? Of course I want to know more. Tell me more. I need time.
We all need time, and it's actually one of the most interesting things if you think about it, because our companies, when we work for a company, they essentially tell us, hey, we pay you to take time off. And yet, for some strange reason, most of us on average don't use up all of our time off. So the numbers are actually staggering. On average, people in the US will only use up 70% of their time off and leave
Wow.
30% unused.
So they're leaving it on the table.
They leave it on the table. Now, for most companies, that would create an accrued time that you will see as a number on each pay slip when you get it, close to your payroll period. And it's a number, and it sits there. But what most of us don't actually realize is that your salary, if you think about it, represents an X amount of days where you're supposed to be working,
Right.
and then an X amount of days where you're supposed to be not working.
And you're getting paid for the days that you're supposed to be working.
Exactly.
I got it.
When
Okay.
you don't use up all of your time, you've actually worked a number of days
You get paid.
and you get paid yet.
Wow.
So your company owes you money. Now, you would think that there's someone with a vested interest, immediately we're thinking, hey, someone's trying to screw us over. But in reality, your employer hates it just as much or possibly even more than you do. Because they owe you this money, and it sits as a liability on the books.
Wow. What's interesting? When I meet companies that are solving a problem I never even realized was a problem. Who even thinks about this stuff? That's amazing.
So one of the things is that we don't realize that we have money laying around that's owed to us, and we'll only need it when we leave the company, either resign or get fired. And that's the ideal state, because the less than ideal state is that our company has a time policy whereby there's a maximum cap of days. So very often, if you have lots of accrued days, some of them will actually get lost at the end of the year. But again, this is not some sort of nefarious kind of evil conspiracy by the CFO of the company, because he literally hates this.
Right, just as much as I do.
Just as much as you do, and possibly even more.
Okay.
Because if you think about it from their perspective, they now have a liability on the books, but it's not a regular liability, right? It's a liability that has no very clear terms attached to it. They don't know for how long, because you can leave the company at any given moment. They have no control over it, right? They don't know how much it costs them, because they know what your salary is now, but they don't know what your salary is going to be when you leave.
Right.
In a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, or in 8 years when you leave the company. This could actually represent a liability that's 10, 20, 30% higher than what it is.
What's the unknown?
Right now. So it's completely unknown.
Wow.
It's non-negotiable, right? They can't refinance it, restructure it, do anything with it to optimize their capital structure. It just sits there. And because people don't use up all of their time consistently year and year again, it just gets bigger.
I was going to say, it's growing no matter what, for sure.
No matter what.
Wow.
Because the basic construct of time off is that you get your annual allocation anyway. So if you haven't used it last year, you're just going to get more, and then you won't use that, and then you'll get more. And it usually actually accelerates a little bit from year to year with seniority and tenure.
Right. Okay, so how do you solve this?
So we came up with this really cool financial solution. We actually buy this debt from you as an employee. So you
Kind of like a secondary market for...
Exactly. So you get to liquidate this portion of time
So cool.
now, and now the employer, instead of owing you the money, they owe Sorbet. And with Sorbet, everything we talked about the uncertainty, about no terms and so on and so forth, is now put in place.
So cool.
We can tell them exactly for how long, at what price. They can restructure it, they can renegotiate it. And another plus is once there are very, very clear terms attached to this liability, it's tax deductible from
Wow.
day one.
Okay, that's wild. Before we even continue, I mean, what's the obvious question I'm about to ask you?
I don't know.
What the heck is Sorbet? Who came up with that name?
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the person who came up with this name is a person by the name of Michael Levine, and he's the CFO of Payoneer.
Oh, I love Payoneer.
And yeah, he's an awesome, awesome guy. And beyond being a really great CFO, he's actually the most people-forward, people-thinking, people-focused CFOs I've ever met.
Because usually CFOs are not exactly, yeah.
Yes, one would think. And he was one of the early people that I had the privilege to kind of consult with and brainstorm with. And one of the things that he said very early on is that, you know, beyond all of the financial implications that we just talked about, he said that he feels like that what people really need right now is a mental sorbet. And that brings me kind of to the other part of our...
Wait, let me guess. Palate cleanser? Is that the thing?
Our, perspective about time off is that for some very weird cultural reason, we view time off as this ultimate indulgence, right?
It's true.
Right? We kind of, we fantasize about it. We can spend hours kind of, going through Airbnb and booking and planning our next vacation. But when it comes down to it, really, we self-regulate. We don't allow ourselves
It's very true.
to take time. And so instead of thinking about time off as this hugely corrupt dessert, we feel like time off is more like a sorbet.
I love this. Wow. That is actually brilliant.
Thank you.
First of all, it's brilliant for a whole bunch of reasons, but just the very, like no one is forgetting that name. Like lemonade. No one's forgetting the name. Like a company that's dealing with something so quote-unquote technical and, sorry for saying this, dry. It's not dry, but you know what I mean. Has a name like Sorbet. Like you would never, just like lemonade, you would never think an insurance company is called Lemonade. I get the concept, but I'm just saying that you'll never forget that, which I love. But that's a very, very cool concept. Okay, so it's getsorbet.com.
Yes.
Okay, tell me about the company a little bit. How many people work there? Who are your co-founders? How much did you raise? From who? Et cetera, et cetera. Talk to me.
So we're currently very lean and mean. We're 3 co-founders and then 8 other employees all in all, but we're hiring right now. So anyone who's looking to join the coolest, most disruptive company ever, please contact us. We're hiring across the board,
Wow.
cross jobs. So please join us.
I will send you CVs after we finish this interview for sure.
Awesome.
But
Cool.
so you're altogether 8 people or altogether 11 people in the company?
Well, altogether 11.
11. Who are your co-founders?
My first co-founder is Rami Kasterstein. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's already built and sold a bunch of companies.
He is awesome. I'm like a huge fan. Love the guy. Okay, I know him for probably at least a decade, if not more. I love the guy.
So you have a leg up on me. I've known him for a couple of years now, has become one of my greatest friends, and he's he's the best, a most available asset to the company. He's obviously not daily active. He's already been through a bunch of these rodeos. He spent a couple of rounds as a VC, but when I met him, he was just finishing up as a VC for a second time, and then he figured out that his true passion is to meet entrepreneurs.
Am I making it up when I say he was involved in crypto?
He is very much involved in several crypto companies, and he's probably one of the most, he's one of the key people on blockchain here in Israel right now.
Right, I know I remember that. I have a very bad memory. Some things I remember.
Yeah, he's definitely the person to talk to if you're doing something interesting in crypto.
Okay.
But
Who's
when
your
my
Sorry to
other,
interrupt you if you were going to continue about Rami. Keep going about Rami.
I was just going to say that when I met him, he just kind of realized after doing a bunch of other things that his passion really lies with meeting entrepreneurs very, very early on and building companies from the ground up. And I was very, very lucky to meet him then. But he was actually our first investor, and that's how we got going. And then my other co-founder, his name is Elias, and he comes from an entrepreneurial background, has built a bunch of products, huge tech infrastructure companies, and most recently he was the CEO of his own ed tech company called Wonder. Company still exists and profitable.
Wow.
Came back to Israel after a few years in the States, and now has joined us in the company.
Super cool. Okay, and talk to me about capital. Did you raise? How much? From who? What are you allowed to say? Whatever you're allowed to say. Don't give me any confidential information.
So we actually just very recently closed a round, but it's not official yet. We have some amazing investors.
What is a seed?
Seed.
Give me an idea. Tell me who invested, but millions, little, big seed, small seed. Don't give me numbers. All right, you don't.
I don't know what a big seed is. We raised 4.3.
Oh, that's a big seed.
It is a big seed, so
For
it's
Israel?
a big seed.
That's a big.
So
for
we
Israel,
raised
it's
a big
huge.
seed from the most awesome investors, but the term sheets are signed. The deal isn't closed yet, so I'm not allowed to say.
All right.
But we're very, very lucky, and I can't wait to tell everyone
That's awesome.
about it.
All right, well, let me know if you need help getting the word out. I'm happy to help. Okay. So, your office is in Israel only, or you have an office there too?
New York and Tel Aviv.
Oh, sweet. Okay. And altogether is 11. Between New York and Tel Aviv.
Yeah, but again, this is just the point where we've now raised capital and we're ready to hire quite.
So you said across the board, literally across the board, like engineers, marketing, everything, the whole?
Everything.
You have marketing in-house or no?
We have an awesome head of content and community out of New York. She's incredible. Her name is Tara, and she used to head community for Ivy, which was acquired by House.
Ivy? Oh, I know. What's her name?
Tara Swoya.
I don't know her, but it was an Israeli company, no?
It was, the founders were in New York, but
They're Israeli.
They were Israeli.
Yeah. Two women, I think?
Yes.
Oh, look at me. It's on a Sunday morning. I only have one cup of coffee.
You're
Okay.
index. You're yeah.
All right, so this sounds to me like, it sounds to me like it's enough of a novel idea that there aren't a lot of competitors. What's the competitive landscape like?
So you know how VCs love it when you say there are no competitors.
There's some, but I'm saying it's some, listen, I say to people all the time, it's very hard to come up with an idea that's so unique that there are no competitors, but this seems like somewhat of a unique idea.
Well, we haven't found any direct competitors. There are a couple of companies out there that allow you to repurpose your PTO days for other things, but the main difference between them and us is that this would usually require compromising the company's cash flow in order to facilitate that, which is where our unique solution comes into play.
Super cool. All right, so website you said is?
GetSorbet.com.
And if people want to follow you, be in touch with you, what's the best way to do that? Are you active on the internet, the interwebs?
I just joined Clubhouse yesterday.
All right.
I'm not sure if it's like the worst mistake.
No, it's great. Clubhouse is great. All right, so how do people look you up?
Vital, Veetahl. That's also true for Twitter and LinkedIn as well.
Oh, that's your across the whole web.
Yeah, well, actually in LinkedIn it's probably Vital Eilat, so VETAHLEILAT.
Your last name's Eilat?
Yes. Well, my mate before I got married.
Eilat. Mm-hmm. You're all unique. Wow. Very, very cool. I'm extremely I have to say I'm blown away. Again, I didn't even think about this whole problem, but yeah. Let me know if I can help with anything.
Oh, sure.
Super cool to meet you, and keep doing what you're doing. We'll be in touch.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
this
for coming.
opportunity.
Awesome.
Awesome.